Good afternoon, Bermuda. As was indicated during this year's throne speech, today's economic and social complexities challenge law enforcement to sensitivity and effectively deal with our policing communities. Over the past year, the Bermuda Police Service has sought to engage in best practices as it relates to policing. It is our commitment to ensure that we put greater emphasis on supporting the Bermuda Police Service, specifically as it relates to their community policing role throughout our island. During this session, a bill to create a police authority will be introduced to facilitate an open and collaborative forum to support the Bermuda Police Service and the communities they serve. We are seeking to introduce a police authority which will comprise of Government House, the government, the police, the layman, working together to help establish Bermuda's policing priorities and determining the funding required to properly support our valued service. Bermuda, on the issue of violence, we know there is still much work to be done, to bring lasting calm to Bermuda's communities. And we are committed to safeguarding our neighborhoods and communities. The Ministry of National Security will continue its priority of tackling the root causes of crime and working towards reducing violence in our community. Our intent is to create a national crime prevention plan that will focus on prevention, rehabilitation, and reintegration. The National Crime Prevention Plan will forego key partnerships with stakeholders to identify policies and programs to reduce crime and to ensure that our community is protected. We intend to utilize our existing mechanisms to address gun, knife, and gang violence. This includes continuing with initiatives such as the GREAT program, which restarted with the resumption of schools at the end of the half term, the Redemption Fund to restart with a new cohort of trainees, and continuing to support the important work of the Gang Violence Reduction Team, which has been invaluable during the pandemic and most recently during our increase in violent activities. Lastly, we want to ensure that we are providing Bermuda's at-risk families with the right guidance and support they need to thrive. It's been said that a healthy family setting is important as it provides a sense of belonging to those who make up the family unit. As part of our focus this upcoming session, we will seek to develop secure family structures by providing parenting classes to mothers, fathers, and guardians. We believe that our vulnerable and at-risk young people will be ultimate beneficiaries of these specialized guidance sessions that will contribute to their emotional, social, and behavioral development. Thank you.
All right, members of the media, that concludes our whole press statement. Do we have any questions from members of the media? Shall I start from the broadcasting?
Greetings, Minister. You mentioned a police authority is the plan to legislate for. A police authority, my understanding of that is it's generally responsible for overseeing police operations. How will this authority differ from the governor's responsibilities for overseeing the police? I thought that was constitutionally strictly under his remit.
Yeah, you are correct, Tarai. In accordance to Section 62 of the Constitution, the governor does have the remit for the operational side of policing. But what we see in our police authority is a more collaborative approach between the communities and the Bermuda Police Service. And what we'd like to see going forward is the stakeholders that we mentioned being involved in coming up with what does policing look like in Bermuda and what priorities would even the police set and even some members of the public, so that as we move forward, it's not so much just the Bermuda Police Service setting these initiatives, but you have members of the community becoming more involved in a collaborative approach.
So does that mean, despite the members of the community being involved, that the governor's role will be lessened in any way?
No, certainly not. The governor's role is enshrined in our Constitution, and so that that is what it is. But what we'd like to see is community persons and communities becoming more involved in their communities. Like, for instance, if we had an opportunity to have a situation with something in St. George's, for instance, and St. George's people kind of being able to provide some input to the police service. So it's more looking at it from a more collaborative approach, and to look at policing probably collaboratively and hopefully proactively.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I appreciate your clarification. I was just trying to get clarification that the governor effectively will still have the final say, because I mentioned that because I know in the past the PLP government has pushed for government to take over operational control over the police. And from what you're saying, it doesn't sound like that will change, because as you said, that is enshrined in the Constitution.
That's correct. And just so that you know, the governor has provided comments as well, and he is supportive. He recognizes what his role is, and we recognize what his role is, but he is supportive in terms of a collaborative approach.
Thank you, Minister.
Jonathan? Jonathan Bell from the Royal Gazette.
Sure.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Minister, thanks for having us.
How you doing, Mr. Bell?
Afternoon. Hi. I was hoping to hear a bit more about Redemption Farm. You touched on it there. I guess are you able to give us any details on when folks are going to be going back, and how many people are getting involved?
Surely. Actually, Pastor Ming and I spoke on this morning, and the new cohort is due to start by the end of this month. The supplies have been purchased. The plan has been laid out by Pastor Ming. So by the end of this month, the new cohort will be in place.
Cool. Do we know how many people are going to be comprising that cohort?
I can't remember the number, and I could be wrong, but I want to say it was 14, but I could be incorrect. But I believe 14,
yeah.
Yes.
Is there any scope for the community to get involved in this? Do you get volunteers, people from the farming community, that kind of thing, pitching in?
We haven't, and at this time, planned for that, but it's not to say that it could not happen going forward. At this time, it's being driven by the Gang Violence Reduction Team, and it has a purpose, but I would not close my door to any ideas for going forward.
Right up. And just going back to the police authority, do we know when that is likely to be in place? The legislation is coming to the session, but are we looking at having the police authority in place and running this session?
Well, we've put it on our legislative agenda, and our hope is that we can meet that timeline.
Right up. Thanks.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, members of the media. If there are no further questions, that concludes today's press briefing. Thank you very much for joining us today.